Do you think I'm a coffee nerd?
Yes.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
It's not 6 inches, that isn't 6 inches. Well, because you have to have it ground a certain way, the water has to be a certain way. Let's say it might be 5.
Okay. And
And you have to use a burr grinder because that doesn't burn the
beans.
bean.
I want to ask a question, and that question is: how many times have we been into a coffee shop, and how many times have you had a coffee and thought that tastes a bit burnt?
Never, I don't think that. I'm not fussy like you at all. That was a bit long.
I was waiting for you to say something.
I was waiting for you to say. You always say stuff. I don't say stuff.
Yeah, I thought I'd leave it and see what you did.
Nothing, apparently.
She just stayed there and did nothing. That's no use. Welcome to episode 34.
34.
Oh, there's an echo.
My age.
Yes, it's very true.
It's very true.
It's
10 years ago, it was very true.
Neither of our ages, sadly.
No.
It's an important episode.
Is it?
Yes, it's the anniversary, although we're a week later than we were last year. But last year saw episode 10 come out on the 23rd of September.
Right.
Episode 10 was the return after episode 9. Episode 9, it's interesting, if you go through the viewing figures for the
Nobody
episodes,
watched episode 9.
well, it's had a fair few views, but I think it's had at least 1,500, if not 2,000 views less than the episodes either side. And it's funny that it's as if
people must have
know.
said, "Don't watch episode 9; it's rubbish."
Well, I say I don't. Well, it's not that it's rubbish. It's not. What do you mean it's rubbish? That's shocking.
Well,
It's not rubbish.
No.
I do see it as a very important step along the road, and I'm glad it's there. Episode 10 saw our return. Do you remember?
I do remember that episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think episode 10 was that when we started What's in Your Oven?
It might have been.
Yes,
Yeah.
because that was started because I wasn't in a physical position to be able to go
out
and do
and
filming,
about.
and also
That's
it was
right.
winter.
And it was good. Well, it wasn't. It was September, but it was getting cooler.
Yeah.
You were going through chemo. We didn't want to. You couldn't physically go out. It's a bit much to expect you to drag yourself off the bed, really.
So we returned with What's in Your Oven, and we made Chelsea buns.
We did.
But we also returned with What's on Your Stereo.
Oh, right, that's right.
And that will be making a reappearance later on in today's show.
Cool.
Yay! And also today we had a very cool. Don't worry, everyone. Favourite Places to Knit is back this episode, and we had a very cool visit to Aysgarth Falls, where we're going to take you later on. So I think we should do more Favourite Places to Knit around this. We should take legends. We should take myths, and we should explore them. We should explore them together, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go to Aysgarth Falls, and we're going to explore the legend that is Robin Hood. And
it was very cool, actually.
Yeah.
We were, we were literally like walking along, going, "Oh, I think this is the exact spot where Kevin Costner stood," and it was just fun, wasn't it, to do things like that?
Absolutely was. So we're going to start our first part of are exploring the legend that is Robin Hood on this Favourite Places to Knit, and then there's no Favourite Places to Knit next episode because you're making chutney.
Oh yes.
So it'll be the episode after that we do the second part of our Robin Hood special. Lots to look forward to today. Oh,
yes.
And this is the first episode since the famous Black Mountain get-together.
Oh yeah. How did it go?
The very first Bakery Bears get-together happened in... Is it the Black Mountain Yarn Shop?
I think it was, yeah. Was it North Carolina? I've got that wrong.
Yes, I think so.
I think it was in North Carolina.
So yeah,
Say that
some
word.
Bakery Bear viewers. I think they were all patrons actually.
Right.
Some Bakery Bear patrons all got together in a yarn shop, sat and watched an episode, and chatted, and we also recorded a little special thing for them, which we sent to them. So that was so cool. We're just very sad that we couldn't be there.
I know, a bit far for us to go
Yeah.
for the day. Sadly.
I was going to get the private jet. Hey, have you seen John Travolta's house?
Funnily, no.
John Travolta's house, right?
Has he got a runway?
There's a runway, but not only that, his house literally has a walkway that runs out to his plane.
Wow.
So he pulls his plane, he lands his plane and he pulls it up to his house.
Like a tunnel? Like
Yeah.
Get off.
It's part of the house. So he
Very
parks his
cool.
plane up right next to this tunnel and then he walks into his house. So I think it's... Is it lots of what's on your needles you have?
I have got a fair number of, what's on?
How many is that fair number?
4.
That's perfect. That's the perfect number.
Is
4.
it?
That's
4
the
is the perfect number of things
It's 3.
to have on your needles.
3, that's the magic number.
3 is the magic number.
And that's what I have.
Right.
I do actually have more, but some are upstairs because I'm not showing them
I
this
have more
episode.
than that, but these
Oh,
are
okay.
not many more,
right,
really. Not many
right.
more, but you know.
Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
Well, the first thing on my needles is a sock. No great shock there, is there? And can I just ask this question first of all? I wanted to say this the past couple of episodes and I keep forgetting. When I see pictures of people's socks in progress on Instagram and Ravelry and things like that, do you know the way you cast on? I always cast on so that this side of my cast on is the right side. Can you see where it's got that sort of twill edge, if you know what I mean? I've seen loads of socks where people are using the other side as the right side. But the other side, to me, it has pearl bumps, like a pearl bump, effectively. Can you see at the bottom there? Just here. But I see loads of people using that as the right side. And I'm thinking to myself, have I been doing it wrong all these years? And everybody will say to me there's no right or wrong. I think it's just a personal choice. But I always presumed that is the right side and that is the wrong side. So, let me know in the episode thread what you all think about that and what you see as the right and wrong side. I just found that interesting. But anyway, this is a sock that I started a while ago and I've done the first one. If you remember, I did this as a tutorial on the patrons group and I knit this sock. That's the first one. I've not got my blockers down here, which is a bit rubbish, isn't it?
Could use my foot.
Well, it wouldn't fit on your foot, darling. So that's the first one, and I've knit this in West Yorkshire Spinners.
WA.
Again, no great shock there. Blueface Leicester DK.
Yeah, isn't it autumn now?
Yeah. Yes. People at West Yorkshire Spinners, it's autumn. Where's our new colourways?
You promised us something.
We want our new colourways of bird prints. Thank you very much. If you could arrange that, that would be
shall
lovely.
I knit? If they are watching, of course, or listening, perhaps.
Indeed, yeah. And I don't know the colourway names of these two, but I'll hold up the ball bands so you can see that's the two colours that I'm
I always
using.
think that sounds painful.
I'll hold up the ball bands. Oh.
Ooh. No.
Yes, no comment on that. So this is just 100% BFL. There's no nylon in it, but they're just house socks, and I tend to wear the DK and worsted weight socks. I tend to just wear with my pyjamas at night time, so they never get a huge amount of wear. And I just think, if they last a year and then they get holes in, then that's fine.
We have to learn how to darn. I want to know how to darn.
I've watched Susan B. Anderson do it,
Right.
and I've got a darning egg. I've got
do
an
you know
egg,
what?
a darning egg.
Imagine if you
I
had a
could
pair of
totally
socks that had been repaired by Susan.
No,
I'd frame them.
I would.
It'd be up on the wall.
And I do like the look of darned socks, even when it's like, and I know it looks like some kind of little space age mitten, doesn't it?
He's got purple lips.
I know.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
just
quite
need a couple of eyes and we're away.
But yeah, I do like the look of darned socks. I like that kind of Walton's feel.
And I tell you something,
the socks have
when
been
my
done.
granny used to darn my socks, they used to feel nicer than the original sock.
Well, maybe I've got a pile of socks that have got holes in, so maybe really it's not like I've not got a load I could practice on. And I've, like I
She
say,
used
I've
to
got
darn my cotton socks.
I've got a darning egg, one of the wooden darning eggs that someone once sent me. So I've got absolutely no excuse of to why I shouldn't darn socks.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll be.
But get on with it.
Feels like a kind of winter evening type of project, doesn't it, to darn socks for some reason?
Yes.
So I have.
There should be a stew on the stove.
There should. I'm making a
Yes.
stew on Friday, aren't
That's
I?
exciting.
So I've had the first one done for ages, really, for weeks and weeks, and then I don't think they're even on my Ravelry page because it was just something I did as a tutorial. I just kind of stuck it in a bag and thought I'll do the other one at some point. And then I just thought the other day, it's silly, they don't take very long to knit, you know, DK weight socks, and I'd love a pair of new socks to take away with me, you know, to wear in my pyjamas when we go away. And this seemed perfect, I've only got one to knit. So I cast the other one on just yesterday, and I've just finished the cuff. I've just started on the stocking stitch, and I'm doing this one the other way around. So this is pink with purple, and this one's going to be purple with pink, which I think is really nice. And I'm using 3.25mm DPNs, and the pattern I'm using is one that I've knit and I've mentioned several times, but I've knit this pattern 7-8 times, and you've knit it loads of times, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
And it's the incredibly easy socks by lovely Tracy Darby.
Hello, Tracy.
Hello, Tracy.
Does she speak like that?
I don't know if she speaks like that. No. So that's the first thing I'm knitting. So I'm hoping, you know, a couple of days and I'll have these done, fingers crossed, and then I'll have a lovely pair of socks to take away with me.
A couple of days.
Well, maybe not. I said that.
No. She said 2 days. So these socks will be finished on the day this podcast comes out.
I think that was a little ambitious after I said
Friday.
that.
Set your stopwatches, people.
I think he's been a bit cruel now. I think I spoke hastily when I said a couple of days. I'm using one of my little popper bags for this.
Cool.
I say one of my little popper bags. It's the only popper bag I own. So, yeah. I have finished with that one, yes.
Okay then.
Shall I carry on knitting while you do Dan Jones? Did you see how smooth that was? I didn't hesitate or anything. Are you proud of me? We're only a year and a bit in.
I think what we should start doing is we should start scoring case transitions out of 10. I give that a 6.
6.
It's better than normal. You'd normally get 2. Because normally I have to remind you. But it was in my head that you should be doing it.
I think that was worth more than a 6.
No, it was a 6. A quality transition, I shouldn't even realise. It should be smooth. It should just flow.
No, your standards are incredibly high. I thought that was pretty good. Anyway, Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's on your?
Well, good. Do the old one. Oh! Although I didn't run today.
No, didn't run today. Got a bit of a cold. Bryony's got a cold. Not anything major. Obviously, she's back to school, so germs everywhere. And you know, I'm so, you know, I always say to her, wash your hands loads at school, and she washes her hands as soon as she gets home. And I said, you know, but what can you do really with a classroom full of sniffly kids?
So what's on my needles? It's the Violet Waffles hat.
It is.
And I quite like the pattern.
Oh, it's lovely. Look at that.
I think I'd knit it again.
It's beautiful.
I think I'd definitely knit it again. I think it's definitely a girl's hat.
I think if you knit it in a manly colour, it could be a man's hat.
Well, maybe I will make. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe I should do that next. Maybe I'll knit one in the manly
look,
hat.
if you knit it in this.
What's that?
This was from lovely Amber. She sent us a parcel last week before now. And this was one of them.
And if it comes out a bit camp, I could always give it to Jay as a Christmas present.
You see, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? It's Kismet.
Oh, definitely. That was his first leading role. I'm going to do that.
Kismet?
He played the Caliph in Kismet in York Theatre Royal.
Oh, that's quite cool.
So that's what I'm going to do. This will become...
The colourway is Skein Cocaine.
Isn't
that cool?
That
colourway
makes me think of
name.
that song. No, I'm going to have to think about it now, otherwise I'll waffle on. But there's a song with that in it.
Waffle on.
Cocaine.
So many links.
Oh, gee, maybe one of you's knowing. It feels to me like Kimmy Knit might know what song I'm thinking of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but now I feel bad because it's cocaine and oh no, all
Why
sounds
would
wrong.
Kim know?
I didn't mean it because of that reason. Anyway, so yeah, I think I'm going to turn this into a hat
I think that would
for
be fabulous.
my actor brother.
Yeah.
So it would work if it's butch, and it'll also work if it's slightly camp. Because
Well, he would go with that, wouldn't he?
yeah, he absolutely would. So it's my violet waffles hat, or should I say Kay's violet waffles hat. The yarn is the yarn is.
Sorry, I forgot you're a self-contained knitter now. Carry on.
Hey, I'm so self-contained that on one of my what's off your needles coming later in the show, I actually cast on another one of these, and I started knitting it the wrong way.
You started knitting it the wrong way?
In the wrong direction.
How can you knit in the wrong direction?
The tail was in the wrong place. Do you know what I mean?
You turned it inside out,
Yes,
probably then.
that's exactly what I'd done.
Right.
I started.
So that's like what we were just saying about it would look like that instead of like that.
So I tinked it back myself. Come on, baby.
Well done.
And then I knit round and I joined in the round and everything was fine. So I am a self-contained knitter.
Carry
It was
on.
so funny though because I sat there doing it and I was like,
I didn't even know you were
because I was
doing it.
waiting for Kay to look across and go, "What are you doing?"
I didn't even notice, so...
Quickly do it. I didn't do anything wrong, honestly. It's really funny. So this is of course fondant fibre hand spun yarn. It is absolutely lovely.
It's lovely.
It is really lovely, actually. It's a grower. You start on it and you think, oh yeah, that's nice, and then the more you use it,
Oh, it's beautiful colours. I
yeah,
just love it.
the colours are great, but for me, it's always about the texture and the way she spins, and it's just tremendous.
I just love it. I think it's my most favourite, hand spun yarn knitted up that I've ever seen. I just think it's beautiful.
Wow.
I love it. I really want that hat.
You're trying to dig yourself out of the smelly hole, aren't
desperately. That sounds wrong.
you? They know what I mean when you said about the smelly yarn.
I know.
So yes, really lovely pattern. I will knit it again. Excellent yarn. If you haven't tried it, I would strongly advise that you do. And that is and maybe by next time.
It'll be done.
It will be done. Because I've just been given an ultimatum. Just like Kay has to finish her socks by Friday, I have to finish this hat by the time we go away so Kay can wear it. Kay Jones, what else is on your needles?
Excellent. Let me just finish that row.
Except she wasn't ready.
I am ready. I was one stitch away from the end of a row. That's ready, really, isn't it? Okay. Now.
Oh.
Yes.
Well. It's a damn sight better quality than those horrific things than we get sent, the toys that we get sent from America, the Ender toys.
The Ender toys.
They're shocking.
Well...
So show and then I'll say.
Yes. There's a group of patterns, toy patterns on Ravelry. The writer, the pattern designer is called Julie Williams. You probably know the patterns. And it's little cotton rabbits. Julie's done a blog for years, I think 10 years actually. She's just had a 10th anniversary blogging. And historically she used to knit these toys and sell them, sell the finished item. I tried to get one of these numerous times and just failed. And then a few years ago, it's probably, I don't know, a couple of years maybe a bit more, she decided to release the patterns. She decided to write them down and release the patterns. And I've knit several. I think altogether I've knit 6 of them. Bryony's got 3, and then I've knit 3 others that I've given away. 3 or 4. And then this is a fairly new one that came out recently, and when I saw it, I just thought, oh gosh, that kind of looks like Stampy Cat from, if anybody knows Minecraft, I know a lot of you out there will know Minecraft. One of the YouTubers is called, is he called Stampy Longnose? And
Well,
his character is Stampy Cat. Is that? I don't know. I'm not an expert, but you know who I mean.
he was called Stampy Longnose. He
And
then
he
changed his
changed it, didn't
name
he?
to Stampy Longhead. There was a
Right.
reason for that, and he did an episode all about it, but Bryony can never remember the reason why.
Right.
But he also uses Stampy Cat as his...
yeah.
So
As a little sort of character.
many of you, I'm
thing.
sure, will have heard of him. For those of you who haven't, he basically makes videos of himself playing games, and he gets millions and
millions of subscribers, 3-4 million. It's absolutely crazy. And Bryony watches all his videos, and I know a lot of your children out there will do the same.
And I've actually watched some, and you know what? Certainly in the early days.
Yeah, we watched them initially, or you did, just to make sure they were okay for her to watch, didn't we?
Yeah. And do you know what? They're pretty good. They're pretty good. It's some of the other ones that I'm not so sure about.
When I saw this pattern, I thought, oh gosh, that kind of looks like Stampy Cat. Shall I offer to make one for Bryony? And of course, I thought about it for a little bit, and then I thought, oh, do you know what? I should love it. I'm going to make one. So I'm knitting. This one is just called Boy Cat in a Plaid Sweater. So there's a look at him.
And he does look like Stampy.
He does look like Stampy.
Are you changing his outfit?
Yes.
Aha.
So me and Bryony had many discussions, and she decided, having looked at the little, she's got one of these little Ender toys. We'll talk about that later. We could go and get it actually to show you. And although he doesn't wear anything, it's just a cat. He's got green eyes, and there was hints of sort of brown in there as well. So Bryony decided she wanted a green and cream jumper and brown shorts. So I'm trying actually a new cotton. The pattern uses a 4-ply yarn for the clothes. Historically, I've used Rowan 4-ply wool cotton, but I didn't have the right colours. So I had a look online and I found this Drops yarn, which was incredibly cheap. A Drops yarn I think is very good value for money. And it's Drops Saffron. It's just a 4-ply, 100% cotton. Like I said, it was very reasonably priced. I think I got it from Love Knitting. I think that's where I got it. So I've got these 3 colours for the clothes, which I think are really nice. So his jumper will be, his jumper will be that, and his shorts will be the brown. And then I already had some cream that I need a little bit of cream for, and that is just some Debbie Bliss Cashmerino Aran. And then I'm using Cascade 220, just the normal 220, and this colour is Mimosa. Is that how you say it? Mimosa. And I think it's one of the heathered ones. It does have a bit of a heathery look to it. There's some darker tones and lighter tones, which I liked. So that's the cat colour. So I have started it. Now, I mean, as I've said before, I've knit 6 of these different animals before. So, obviously I love the patterns and I love the finished objects. But all I will say is these patterns are really not for the faint-hearted. They are quite, I don't mean this in a critical way, but they are quite fiddly to knit. And all of the pieces are seamed.
Oh, no.
All of the pieces are seamed, so everything is knit flat and then you seam everything. There is a reason she does it like that, because it adds structure to the finished toy, and I totally get that, because it really does. I've knit several and I agree with her, it really does, and she's knit hundreds of these, so she knows better than anybody. So I have started it. Well, yes.
Right.
Her finished toys are just absolutely beautiful. When she was selling them, oh gosh, they're just so incredibly well made. So I've started it, and so far I've knit the head, the nosy bit, and 2 ears. So at the minute it just looks like sort of random pieces. This is actually going to be the head, and this front bit is where you attach the, what would you call that? His nose. It's not his nose, it's his whole front of the face sort of thing. So that bit actually goes over the top of all those pearl bumps that you can see. And then I've knit the ears. Now, let me tell you, I nearly had to turn to drink when I was knitting these ears.
That's shocking.
There was one other that I knit that I threw in the bin, because it's basically intarsia. And when I show you the size of these, look, that little bit of white is intarsia. It was, oh my goodness, and it's seamed. Again, these are seamed down the back. And the other thing that makes it fiddly is she knits her toys to a very tight gauge, which I strongly approve of. You all know from my patterns that I always knit toys to a tight gauge.
I'd be a good toy knitter.
But her patterns, yeah, you would. Her patterns are even at a tighter gauge than mine. She knits the cat on 3mm needles with a worsted weight or Aran weight yarn. And now you can imagine that, especially when you're doing rapid increases, like on the head and things like that, it's very tough on your hands. It's not for very long, you know, there's only a couple of rounds of increases, so I just kind of get on with it and do it. But that's, you know, that's the reason why I'm saying they're really not for the faint-hearted. And if you don't like fiddly and you don't like seaming, then I would suggest that maybe this is not the pattern for you. I'm just being honest, you know.
No. Yeah.
But, you know, I'm knitting
Definitely.
another one because the finished articles are just fabulous. They really, really are. And if you want to put the effort, you know, if you really want to make one of these, you can totally do it. So that's where I'm up to so far. And I'm kind of taking my time with this because it is, you know, it's quite a, you know, if you do want one of these things, then you totally can make it, but just be prepared, really, for the amount of work, because the knitting of it doesn't take really that long, the individual pieces, but obviously then you've got to seam every piece, you've got to stuff every piece, you've got to, you know, place everything so that it looks right, and all that does take quite a lot of time. I think altogether it probably would take you maybe 30 hours to make the entire thing, and that's me who has made 6 of them already. But the patterns are amazingly well written. They really are. The detail in the patterns is fantastic. The photos are brilliant. So I would really highly recommend the patterns. They are absolutely amazing. And I will, you know, when we do finished objects, I'll show you some of the ones that I've already made. I don't need to say it again.
But you see, you could have used that opportunity to get a higher mark.
I've already said
Had you just finished and just gone down, Jones, what else is on your needles? I'd have given you an 8.
Well, I've totally blown it
You
now.
have.
I'm obviously stuck on a 6 for the rest of my life.
No, you get no score for that link.
And look, I'm knitting it on little tiny short straight needles. I always knit these on straight needles. I don't know why. I think it's because Julie does. The designer always uses little straight needles.
So what else
That's
is
just
on
what
that
I
needles?
do. And the other thing, can I just say one more thing? The thing that I dislike the most, and I do it because Julie does it, is the cast on that she uses. I know, the cast on that she uses is a cable cast on. I absolutely loathe and detest doing a cable cast on. If you've ever done one, maybe you don't struggle with it, but I so struggle for some reason doing it. But I'd use that cast on because that's what she uses, and I want it to look the same.
Here's a question. Why do you knit? Why do you knit? Well, I wasn't asking you, I was asking everyone else, but why do you knit?
You're not asking me.
Well, I am now.
Oh, right. Why do I knit?
Yeah.
It's probably not the same reason that I started knitting, is that?
No, I didn't say why did you start to knit. I said why do you knit?
Because I love making things. I love creating things, and I love knitting. I love I just love the action of knitting.
I wonder if this is an interesting question that it would be interesting to see what lots of people's answers are.
Well, yeah.
So maybe
Why do you knit?
If you have a moment, come and share in either the Ravelry group or on the YouTube thread. Just tell us why you knit. I knit to relax. Do you find it relaxing too?
I do find it relaxing. Sometimes I find it stressful as well.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, isn't it? And loads of people say that. You know, if maybe you're knitting on something that, you know, the pattern's a bit frustrating, but you really want to finish it, then it can be a bit stressful, can't it? And then sometimes I think, gosh, you know what? It shouldn't be stressful, and just put that project down and pick up something else.
If I didn't find knitting relaxing, I wouldn't do it.
No.
And I do think lots and lots of people do find, and it's interesting how.
I think that'll be the top reason.
Well,
do you think that'll be the top reason?
Should we find out?
Yeah.
So maybe if you've got a moment, come and tell us why you knit. But I most certainly do it to relax. And I think if you don't find it relaxing, personally, if I spoke to a knitter and they said, "Oh no, I don't find it relaxing at all," I would try and help them find a way to make it relaxing. Because otherwise, what's the point in sitting and doing something that surely the point of it is It's to have a good time and chill out. And,
Oh yeah, because, yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, just it was an interesting question that suddenly came to mind. And yeah.
What are you doing?
No, I'm not talking about this.
No, you can't talk about that.
Yeah, I can.
It's a pop project.
No, it's not. That would be utterly unfair.
Oh
if
no, it's
after
not.
losing,
Sorry, I'm sorry. You cast
I
it on.
banned
when
people
I'm sorry. You
from-
cast it on when we.
I cast it on our first Patron only podcast, which came out last Friday.
I am getting
But I promised you
confused.
on the episode before, whilst I was going to cast it on the pop show, that I would be showing it on the main podcast too. Hence, it's here just to prove that I am actually doing it. So. You tell me, what's that? Go on, shout it out. Let's see if I can hear you. I'll be listening for you on Friday. What is it? Yes, it's a Ricky hat.
It is.
The yarn is...
Oh, it's
what is
lovely.
it? What is it? Do you know what it is?
I thought you were self-contained.
I'm
I don't
not.
need to
When
know.
it comes to Ricky hats, I have no clue.
I think the ball band's in there.
Don't say that word.
Oh, sorry.
I wince every time you say it.
There you go.
Oh, yes!
Yes.
Yes! It's Dreams in Fibre,
Lovely,
Superwash
lovely
Merino
Erica.
Aran,
We
and the
love
colourway
Erica.
is blues, and Nick too.
And Nick.
Yes, Nick's got a new set, a new Star Wars set that I need to see. Is it cool, Nick? How excited are you about Star Wars, Nick? I'm extremely excited. Kay will be beginning to get my Han Solo outfit together very soon.
I need to get
Should
on
be
to
sewing
that.
some red ribbon down the side of my dress trousers that
I
I
am doing
wore
that, yeah.
in Knit or Forfeit. Remember the Lycra suit? Check this out. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Lovely.
Hold on, I knit the hat that I sent to Australia.
In Dreams in Fibre.
Yes,
you did.
yes.
Yeah.
And this is a gift too.
It's slightly heavier weight, that isn't it?
It is. It's really great. And how did we acquire this?
Erica just sent it to us with
Erica,
a whole
you're-
huge parcel she sent last year.
You are
and-
wonderful.
Yeah.
This is wonderful yarn. It really is. I mean,
beautiful.
seriously, I'm not messing around here. I just love it. And
It's beautiful.
you got out a load of yarns,
I did.
and I went through them.
Yeah, and he just kept going, no, don't want that, don't want that, don't want that. I'm like, wow, all these beautiful yarns. And
I
then he
thought I
saw
was
that
pretty
one, he
good.
went, yeah, that one.
Don't you
It's
love
like,
them?
right, okay.
It's like blokes when they go shopping.
Yeah.
I'll have that one. But what about all those?
Just
that one's fine.
dismissed all these other beautiful yarns. but,
I know
you
what I like, and I like what I blooming well see. I feel as well that I need to just say, the issue I have with the Ricky hat is not specifically labelled at the Ricky hat. We sort of
it's the style.
We played up on this on Knit or Forfeit, and I don't want people to think who have Ricky hats. Not that I'm sure they give a jot, but I don't have a problem with a Ricky hat. What I have a problem with is slouchy hats. As James from Dance Geek called me, was it hipster?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means,
Yeah.
but you know.
But he called himself a hipster, I saw the other day. I have an issue with, and now I don't have an issue with people with big hair who need big hats to put them in. What I have an issue with is young boys copying Premiership footballers by getting silly hats, and it's normally in the middle of summer. So it's normally sweltering hot, and they stick the hat on the head, and they have it hanging down the back, and they look like elves. I mean, they look like what you put one on the other day. And was it an elf? I said you look like.
I put one on.
No, you put a hat on the other day, and you slouched it on the back. It just sort of looked like a crazed
I quite
elf
like it. I don't know.
beret thing.
It's just a personal choice, isn't it? None of these people you're talking about have got hand knit hats on. They've all
No.
got these, bought ones.
No, and I think I have said before that I think the fault lies with whatever idiot decided to make this fashionable.
It's a fashion
with a
statement,
cheap,
isn't it? Not all
cheaply
fashion statements
produced
are for
horrid hat.
everybody.
No, it's right, and they've ruined it for the rest of us. So what else is on your needles, woman?
Well, this is another new cast on.
Well, and did you want to cast this on, or did you feel obliged to cast it on?
No, we had a huge discussion,
We did.
didn't we?
Yes.
About
We established no more obliged cast-ons.
no.
Do you do obliged cast-ons?
Yes, everybody does it.
Don't do it.
Well, maybe not everybody
Get
does
out
it.
that project and rip it out.
I know some people absolutely loathe and detest obligation knitting, don't you? And I know.
Put your hand up now if you've ever done obligation knitting.
I'll put both my hands up because I do it regularly. But no, we were talking about what to do for the next tutorial, weren't we?
We were.
And, you know, some of the tutorials I've done are on sort of basic techniques, you know.
You've got a really nice mix, actually.
Yeah, so, you know, a
Some
lot of
for
them
beginners.
are things like, you know, kitchen stitch or casting off or
Yeah,
casting
you've
on.
literally
or,
just done
Yeah.
a series on
But then,
binding off.
Yeah, but then some of them,
That sounds so
hardly,
exciting.
it was like 2 different bind off. But then the other thing we like doing, or I like doing, is to do more project-based tutorials so that you learn something, but also you've got something to show for it at the end
It's
of
like a
that
little knit-along.
tutorial. And I've done a few of those now, haven't I?
Yeah.
Mittens and socks and a bakery bear putting together, you know, all sorts of things. And I thought, right, what do I really want to do? And I really want to knit. I've been wanting to knit a cardigan for a while, and I'll talk about that later on. If we get a chance, I'll talk about that later on. And then I thought, where's the best place to start if you've never knit a cardigan before?
With the sleeves.
And, well, a lot of people do that because that's the most, people don't like knitting the sleeves, so they knit the sleeves first.
Is that a tubular
You can-
cast on?
Well, it could be if you wanted it to be.
Oh.
I've never done a tubular cast.
I just wondered if it was because it's a tube that you're knitting.
No, honey, that's not why it's called a tubular cast.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, right, the best place I think to start if you've never knit a jumper or a cardigan before is just with a baby cardigan or jumper. Because you're learning everything, but it's done quickly. You know, it's a small little project, but you learn all the techniques. It's like knitting worsted weight socks, I suppose, isn't it really? And then I thought, well, you know, what stopped me doing this before is that I don't have any babies to knit for. There's no babies in our family, none really ever likely.
No.
Well, certainly not here. And I've not got any friends that are having babies or anything like that. I thought, do you know what? I could knit a cardigan for one of Bryony's one of Bryony's teddies. So that's what I'm doing, and we're doing that as a series of tutorials. So what I'm knitting is, I went online
Which
on
started
Ravelry.
yesterday.
Started
That
only
tutorial.
yesterday. I looked on Ravelry again for a free pattern so that we can do it as a tutorial, and I just looked at the most popular. And this one was kind of top of the list. There was like over 7,000 projects, and it's the Baby Sophisticate. Baby Sophisticate by Lyndon Heflin. Lyndon Heflin.
Do you know what's really confusing?
I'm saying that wrong.
If you go onto Ravelry, it must be she is listed as Lyndon Down.
Really?
Yes. So
Oh, right.
perhaps she's just got married.
Maybe she has, yeah. So that's what we started yesterday, and we've started the series of tutorials, haven't we? And so here's the little start of my tiny little cardigan.
Hasn't she done well?
I've only just started it.
Look at that.
Oh, how cute!
She's getting good, isn't she?
Oh, shush. And that's the kind of back. So you can see those increases there on the back. And I'm actually sizing it down even a little further. The pattern is 0 to 3 months and 6 to 12 months, and it's an Aran weight yarn. Now I measured Big Teddy, I measured his chest, and he's only 13 inches, and the smallest size is for 16 inches. So, you know, I'm not being fussy about this, it's for a teddy at the end of the day, but all I've done is I'm using a worsted weight instead of Aran, and I'm using 4mm needles instead of 5mm, and I figured that will size it down to a degree. And you know, like I said, it's for a teddy, and it doesn't really matter if it's a bit big or a bit small, you know. So that's what I've started, and I'm using just some Cascade 220 Superwash. Not sure of the colourway name, but it's 1951. It's just what I had in my stash. And I think again the pattern calls for about 240 yards of an Aran weight. I've got 220 yards of a worsted weight, but the sleeves won't be as long because he's only got little dinky arms, and I won't need as much length as well because he's not a baby, he's a teddy. So that's the colourway. It's really pretty actually. But this was in a skein, or a ball, sorry, it was in a ball, but the ball was kind of falling apart, you know, like they can do sometimes. So I wound it. There was 2 breaks in the yarn in just one ball. So I've got this one little bit here that I thought, well, I could use that for a sleeve anyway. And there's another break sort of further in. And I'm using 4mm, and I'm using high sharps for this. My interchangeables, so they're really nice. Yeah, so we're going to carry on with those tutorials, so I'll show you the progress as I do it. And you know, you can knit along with me, all you patrons out there, if you want to knit along with me, because I am going through the pattern stage by stage you know, so you'll be able to just stop the video and do that bit, stop the video, do that bit. So I think that'll be fun.
Okay.
And little big Teddy's going to look so cute in his cardigan, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Dan Jones, what else is on your needle?
Oh, I'll give that 6.5. So you sort of caught me slightly unawares. I wasn't expecting
Getting
anything.
better.
Yes, half a point extra. This is a properly self-contained knitter sock.
It is.
Because I cast this on myself. The last one Kay cast on for me. So that's my cast on at the top there. And I'm now round, and I think I've totally done a much better job.
Yes, it's very good.
What are you saying about the other sock?
I'm going to sit here and just
It's a test. No, I need to ask you a question in a minute. So yeah, it is of course. This I'm doing in preparation for the arrival of our new West Yorkshire Spinners yarn.
Yes.
I'm warming up my my sock making skills. I decided to make this sock just one row longer on the leg than the other one.
Oh, he did that by accident. I thought you were being really clever then. I thought there was an actual reason.
Yes, there was. I did
Then
it
you were in
deliberately.
such a panic. All of a sudden you went, oh, count these rows. And I counted them and I said, there's 21. He's like, oh, I'm going to have to tink back. I said, no, you're not. It's one row different. You know, a lot of people don't even count rows. They just measure.
But I like things to be perfect. So yes, there it is. Coming along very nicely. And the question I have to ask you, Kate, is I'm now down to 22
Oh, so
on
you
each
finished
side.
the decreases.
I have, so now I'm just knitting, aren't I?
But you need to change the start of your round again.
Oh, right, okay.
Back to here,
Right.
where you were before.
Okay. So glad that you're all enjoying West Yorkshire Spinners. It is excellent. We've seen some great projects appearing, actually, where people have been using, was it the buttercup or something or other, as the contrast?
The yellow, yeah.
For the
Butterscotch.
top. Butterscotch, that's it. It was,
Yeah.
yes. For the top and also for the toe. So there's all sorts, and that's such a great idea, actually.
I think it looked lovely with the yellow.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
Such a great idea. So, yes. What else is on your needles?
Oh, well.
Is this your last thing?
Yes. This is very exciting. I had a kind of, do you know, I
Prepare
occasionally...
yourselves, everybody.
I have knitting epiphanies, don't I, from time to time?
Yeah.
And I think this was...
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
You just pay no attention to me when I have these epiphanies. But I was knitting away on my sock yarn blanket the other night.
You were not.
It was Sunday night, I think. It was quite late. Well, I say quite late, 9:30, which is late for me.
Oh.
Terrible, dirty stop-ups on Sunday night, and I was knitting away on it, and then I just suddenly thought, gosh, you know, and do you know when you're picking your next colour, I'm kind of always drawn to the pinks and purples, and I have to force myself, you know, to use the other colours. And I suddenly thought, gosh, you know, why couldn't I start another blanket, but all of the yarns within it have to have either pink or purple somewhere within the colours. So, of course, I had this thought late on Sunday night and went to bed and kind of forgot about it. But then on Monday night, I remembered this thought. And I was like, oh, I had this, you know, I just suddenly had to, I got all of my sock yarn scraps out and I went through them all and I got all of the ones out that had pink in somewhere or purple in somewhere. They could have other colours in, but they had to have pink or purple somewhere within them. Pink because it's my favourite colour, and purple because that's Bryony's favourite colour. So I did that, and I got this nice little mountain. I thought, oh my gosh, should I start this? Should I really start this? And then I thought to myself, you know, why not? Why not?
The question you should ask yourself when you cast anything is, do I feel obliged to cast this on, or do I want to cast this on?
I desperately wanted to cast this on. I was like, oh, how fun will this be?
The only time for obligation knitting is Christmas.
I'm not doing any this Christmas. I'm not knitting anything for anybody this Christmas.
No, that's my job. Everyone is getting a headband.
Including the men?
Yes!
Right. Well, carry on, because I've decided I'm not knitting. I say I don't. You see, this is what happens saying, maybe I will. I'm really not.
Show us your blanket woman.
Fantabulous project. So I decided I'm just going to start this. And so what if I've got 2 of these on the go? There's nobody out there, is there, saying, oh my gosh, she's got 2 of those blankets on the go, it's going to take her 10 years to complete them. Well, so what if it does? Doesn't matter, does it? If you're enjoying it, do it, is what I say. Life's too short. So I did indeed start we've christened it, me and Bryony have christened it the Girly Whirly blanket. And I've done, so far, just done 6 little squares. But look. I mean, and people out there who hate pink and purple are going to be going, oh, that's horrible. But there are other colours in there as well, like I've said. But each one of these has got either pink or purple or both in some cases. So I started here. This is a Regia, the My First Regia ones. And this one is lovely Nicole's yarn, Nicole C. Mendez, who I'm going to talk about a bit more later on. This one is from Amber, and this one is, I hadn't used this before, and it's Fishnets Opulence MCN in the mermaid colourway, and I thought that was just beautiful. And it's a really squishy, quite
this stuff is squishy.
It's a heavy fingering, which I really like for socks. I do, like yarn to be a little bit heavier, so I loved that one. This one is a combination of two, actually. I had this bit left over. I'd used this before in my other blanket, and then I added in just a bit of Regia just to finish that off. And I think this one, along with this one, I think they're from Jenny. I think it's Owl About Yarn. Jenny, are those two yours? I think they are, and they're just fantastic. And in fact, I had a look at your shop last night, Jenny Powell, to see if you had any mini skein sets that were pinks and purples. And there weren't any that were specifically pinks and purples. So if you're watching, Jenny, and you have got kind of 5 or 6 minis that do have pink and purple in, if you want to put those together for me and let me know, then I will happily go and purchase those, because I love your yarn, it's beautiful. And then this one is Juliana's fibre that I've used before, Above the Clouds, is it? This one. So that's where I'm up to at the moment, and I've got all of these. I've put it in my Chatsworth bag because they all fit in, and all of my little, can you see in there? Lovely. So yes, and I put a picture up on Instagram thinking everybody's just going to think I'm totally bonkers, and everybody seemed to think it was a fantastic idea, so I'm clearly not alone. So I say, if you've got one of these on the go, then go, whatever your favourite colour is, go through and pick out all those yarns that have got that colour in and see how many you've got, and start another one. Go on, do it, you want to. Yes, that was my bit
You
of
finished?
Moments of madness. Yes.
Excellent news.
Yes.
Well, no, I don't mean that in the
Thanks
sense
very
of it's
much.
nice that you finished. I
Thanks
just
very
meant
much.
that's good and everything.
Thank you.
It's time for me to ask someone what's on your needles.
Is it a girly whirly blanket?
Well, we shall find out. And do you know what? For a very special occasion like today, I'm changing this.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm changing this to what's on your hook. This person is not a knitter.
She's a crocheter.
She is a crocheter, and she watches the podcast. She lives in Olympia with her wonderful husband.
Olympia?
Not London. She's just come back to crochet after a 20-year break.
Heavens.
She loves the podcast, especially Favourite Places to Knit and Knit or Forfeit.
Oh.
Who's excited about the next instalment of Knit or Forfeit?
I am.
Oh yes. You saw the trailer in episode 33. It's me versus the sock petition.
But what you don't know is who I will be versing.
Oh yeah, but let's keep that nice.
I'm not going to tell you.
So we'll keep that nice.
But
and
you're going to be
quiet.
excited, is all I'm saying.
Yes, for what year is it next year? It's
2016.
Oh, is it 2015 now?
Yes.
I lost a year.
Well, we have lost a
I
year.
literally lost a year, and I want it back.
Yes.
So 2016.
Along with something else, but we won't talk
New
about
for
that.
the new year.
Yes.
Kay will be battling someone.
I cannot tell you how fun this is going to be. I'm not going to tell you. The person knows who they are.
Hey, look, it's not about you at the moment.
Sorry.
You won.
I'm going to
It's
just
about
sit
me trying to
here.
win
I'm
back
going to
some.
sit here and just knit and be quiet.
Sockmatician and I will be battling off, and I just wonder actually if people want to fire at me to get me warmed up for the competition. If anyone wants to fire at me some musical theatre questions to get me warmed up, that would be absolutely wonderful. So put those in the show notes, and I'll see if I know the answer. But yeah, back to what's on your hook. She's in Olympia. She has a wonderful husband. She's just come back to crochet after a 20-year break, and her name is Cookies Crafts. I hope I pronounced that.
Cookies.
Yeah. Keely.
Oh!
Hi, Keely.
Gosh, with K's and Z's.
Yeah, I know.
That's exciting.
What's on your hook? We want to know.
Yeah.
Come and show us what's on your hook. I can't wait to see.
Keely.
But now it's time for that moment you've all been waiting for.
Oh, it's so exciting. Have you all watched the film in preparation for this?
If you haven't, you need to stop and you need to go look. I also
You
had
absolutely
posted. I posted on. I think it was the Patrons forum. I actually found the fight scene. So I posted that. So patrons will have seen that.
That's exactly where we were.
That's exactly right. But for everyone else, now it's time to go to Aysgarth Falls, and it's time for us to start our Robin Hood journey. So it's time to go and find out all about who was Robin Hood and where did he live.
Yay.
With us over at Aysgarth Falls. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Yes.
Yes.
So we'll see you later. I hope you enjoy it. Off we go. Welcome to Favourite Places to Knit. We're here at Aysgarth Falls and it is such a beautiful day. It may be autumn, but it feels like summer right now. So, Aysgarth Falls, how was it formed? Thousands of years ago, rivers of ice cut out the channel that we see here. That is now Aysgarth Falls. Over the course of time, those rivers defrosted and they became the River Ure, which is the river that flows down here. Now it drops 30 metres on its way towards Wensleydale, I nearly said Wensley, towards the village, it's more like a small town actually, of Wensleydale. And on its way down, it just creates some absolutely stunning vistas, and there's some amazing wildlife to see, all sorts of really beautiful stuff. Now, where are we in the world? Well, of course we're in Yorkshire. Just over there is Bolton Castle. Bolton Castle was one of the places which Mary Queen of Scots was held by Elizabeth I in the late 1500s. Also as well, we're really close to Jervo Abbey. Do you remember our favourite place to knit from episode 3, our very favourite place to knit? Or was it episode 1? I can't even remember. And the reason why Aysgarth is such a cool link to Jervo is when Jervo was dissolved, when Henry VIII's men came to come and burn it to the ground, some amazing guys went in there and risked life and limb to steal some of the things to stop them being destroyed, and they brought them here to Aysgarth and they put them in the local church. Now I don't know if we're going to be able to get in because it's a Sunday and there's obviously an awful lot going on in there today, but I will get some pictures and I'll show them to you now. There's the rood screen. It's absolutely stunning, and that is the screen that was in Jervo Abbey Church. So it was stolen and brought down to Aysgarth and put into the church and saved for us to see today. And I didn't realise that was there until researching this favourite place to knit. So I was really excited, obviously, about seeing that. It's an absolutely gorgeous thing. I really hope we can get in, but I've got this feeling we're not going to be able to. So over the course of time, because this place is so utterly stunning, it's been visited by famous artists, one of which was J.W.M. Turner. And some of you might have seen the film. I'm sure there's a film with Timothy Spall called Mr. Turner. Now, Turner used to paint romantic pictures, so I'll try and throw some up now so you can have a little look. He came and he visited here, and actually what I've discovered is he visited an awful lot of our favourite places to knit, and he painted them, which is just amazing.
So he came here and he painted some of the views that we're hopefully going to see today. And actually we're going to try and follow in his footsteps today and try and find some of those views that he painted. But down there is Aysgarth Falls. That's where we're heading now. So let's go take a look.
As you walk along Aysgarth Falls, you can see the reason why it's attracted successive artists over the past few hundred years. The River Ure that you're seeing there contains brown trout, grayling and the native white-clawed crayfish. Salmon used to be seen jumping up the falls, and there are kingfisher, wagtails and dippers searching pools for food. It is a truly beautiful place, and there's also some great examples of Industrial Revolution England. This is Ure Mill. It's a 4-storey Grade 2 listed building built in 1784. It's got a row of cottages, St Joseph's Mews. Many of them actually were for sale, and what you're seeing here is the race that used to run water from the River Ure down under the mill, moving the wheel that would then enable that mill to make cotton. But where are we? Moving further down the falls, near the mid-falls, we get amazing views here of the surrounding dales, and we really are slap bang in the middle here. It is just a tremendously beautiful place to visit, and the day was so warm, not September at all. It felt very much more like summer. Here we have the mid-falls. Now this is where the fight finishes, and we're going to explore this more in just a second, but here is where some of the best examples of wildlife are. It's just a stunning place. But let's go and find out about Robin.
So in 1991, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves was being filmed, and Kevin Reynolds, the director, was looking for a river which was written into the script where Robin would cross and he would meet the merry men, the ghosts of Sherwood Forest. So supposedly that is Sherwood Forest behind us, and this is a river within Sherwood Forest. Now of course it isn't, we're in Yorkshire, but they were already up this way because they were filming up at Sycamore Gap, which we've already been to.
Mistletoe, many a maiden, I can't remember the line, has kissed me under this fair tree. In my country, Christian, we do not need to drug our women.
So they found this river and they decided to use it. And this is the area where, this is the place where the fight scene happened. So over the other side is Robin Hood's merry men. There's Little John and Will Scarlet, and Robin and Azim want to, and Duncan as well, isn't it, want to cross this river, and they come down to the river, and that's where they first meet, and then they start their fight. So let's go and have a look and find where the fight took place.
Deep in the forests of Sherwood hid the merry men, and their leader was of course John Little. Now John Little's real name was John Naylor, and he was from Hathersedge, not far from Chatsworth. It's a beautiful village. You can actually go to his grave there in the church. Now in 1420 he first appears in the stories, and he met Robin on a river in Sherwood Forest, and they fought. And here is the river, of course, that was used within the film with Kevin Costner and Nick Brimble playing Little John, who I thought was absolutely superb. Now, after the fight, as I say, first written about in 1420, Little John became Robin's most trusted lieutenant, and he had many, many adventures all of his own. We'll actually talk about some of those in the next episode, but we're here, of course, to find out all about Robin Hood. So let's go and find out some more.
So who was Robin Hood? Well, he first appeared in the Scotta Chronicon, I think it was in about 1377, and he was mentioned, Little John was mentioned, Much, the character Much was mentioned, and also Will Scarlet was. And that really started then the story that's grown into the one that we all know today and that was used in the 1991 film. Maid Marian was introduced at a much later date, and so was the Sheriff of Nottingham. But the Sheriff of Nottingham character was included because there was actually 3 different guys, all of whom were pretty nasty pieces of work, and they were big landowners and the Sheriff of Nottingham at times through history. But was Robin Hood real? That's the question that so many people have discussed for so many years. I believe he most probably was.
So who was Robin Hood? Now, if you spend just a little bit of time researching, you'll see there are hundreds and hundreds of stories, as we've established, starting in 1377. But back then, writers were quite often writing about things that were within the public interest. They were actually happening. And I believe that Robin existed. I believe that he started out as a man stealing food for his family, and he decided that he was going to give himself a pseudonym. A pseudonym so if anyone tried to trace him and find out who the real Robin Hood was, they'd never find any evidence. Now, why did he pick Robin Hood? In the Middle Ages, Robin was another name for devil, and if you add Hood to that name, Robin Hood, you have a hooded devil. So where did Robin live? Loxley was a village, now swallowed up by the city of Sheffield. It's the legendary birthplace of Robin, and there must be a reason for this. Many have looked for some clue to find him in the history books, but sadly none have found it. But again, we're right in the middle, or well, not right in the middle, we're towards the end of the Dark Ages, so it was very, very difficult to find this type of evidence. But from the research I've done, I believe that he existed, that his story was picked up on by writers, and then of course added to through the course of history. But let's find out about what Kay thinks.
So, do you think we found the Robin Hood bit out there then?
I think it was up there where we were originally.
This would be a great place to knit.
It would, I didn't bring my knitting there.
I also forgot mine.
Well, I left it in the car just because I didn't want to have too much to carry really. Are we recording?
Yeah. That's good, isn't it?
I totally didn't know.
Why do you like Robin Hood so much?
Why do I like Robin Hood so much?
I don't mean the historical character, I mean the film.
The film?
Yeah.
I don't know really. I think it's a great story. I think the acting's really good. I like all the characters. I like the costumes. It's funny.
So, yeah, I think that I would like to come back here with my knitting.
I know I should have brought my knitting, but we were carrying so many.
I would have particularly enjoyed knitting on a Ricky hat here.
I bet you would.
In the first part of our journey to uncover the legend of Robin Hood, we visited Aysgarth Falls, the famous river where he fought with Little John and met his merry men. We've established that Robin most probably existed, that Loxley is a place, and that writers picked up on his story, the story of a man fighting desperately to feed his family, to feed his people, and then built on it over the course of years. I also believe that other men then began to use his name, so Robin Hood stories began to appear all over the country. These were the end of the Dark Ages. Barons were unbelievably powerful, and as we're going to discover in the next episode, characters like the Sheriff of Nottingham most certainly did exist. Join us next time as we explore more of the legend of Robin Hood. Well, that was fun.
It was fun.
Yes. Robin Hood is something that I think is really synonymous with this country, isn't it? It's very sort of, and it's just such a great story. And I'm not on about the film now. I'm on about the whole story. So it's going to be such fun.
It's fun
to explore just a bit more of that next time. So we're going to be looking more at the Sheriff of Nottingham, more at Maid Marian, and more at Robin's later life. So what went on as he got older, because the stories chart his life to his death.
Really?
Yeah, it's really interesting, and he lived a fairly long life. So what are these?
These are.
This is, of course, what's in your sweetie jar.
Yay!
Oh, that's
And
yummy.
these are drumstick lollies, swizzle drumstick lollies, and it's a little chewy lolly, as we would call it, on a stick. And it's basically like a chew, and they've stuck a stick on it. And
You know what the flavour is?
It's raspberry and milk. I just discovered that on the thing. I knew it was kind of fruity, but I didn't know that the white bit. I'll hold mine up because Dan's eaten his already, as you can see. It's raspberry and milk, and you can see from Dan's face that it's a chew. And they're lovely. I'm not going to chew mine because then neither one of us will be able to speak for a good few minutes.
And why?
And it actually does smell a bit milky now I think about it. It's lovely.
I remember these from
Oh gosh, when I was little, years and years and years ago, I remember.
And if you leave them too long, they're just on the borderline.
Yeah, and they come in the top bits in a wrapper, and normally the wrapper all gets stuck around that inside bit there, and you're like having to pull little bits of paper off, or usually you just end up eating little bits of paper because it's really stuck up into the chew. But they're super lovely. I mean, they're a very childhood thing for me, a drumstick lolly.
Mm.
And they're lovely flavour.
They're better out of the fridge.
I don't know, they're rock solid. Dan always puts, I've said this before I think, but he always puts his sweets in the fridge. And Dan's got another sweet here, which is just the most vile thing ever.
Well, I thought this was particularly appropriate. You don't see these really at all.
Not the proper ones.
You never see them in supermarkets or anything.
No.
These used to be around in sweet shops when I was young, and they were quite the height of boyhood fashion, I think. I don't know if girls ever went for them.
No.
And I wonder, actually, if they weren't called what they're called, if boys would actually go for them as well.
Probably not.
Can you see what it says on the front there? It says beer. This is a beer bottle, and this tastes of yeast.
Oh, that's horrible.
It's supposed to taste of beer, and you could make it taste of shandy.
Yeah, I was thinking, I mean, it does kind of smell like a shandy, but I tried one before and didn't like it at all.
You could totally make that taste of shandy and it would be nice, but these do not. This just tastes of, you've got to have one.
I'm not having one.
Aww.
No chance, mate. You made me do that before and I didn't like it.
It tastes like the foam
You see, I'm not
off the top of beer.
I like a shandy that's made with beer, but I don't really like beer.
Can you get these in any other countries? I bet you can't.
Probably not. I don't even know who makes them.
And this comes from one of our favourite sweet shops. It probably is our favourite sweet shop. What's it called?
Mocha.
And they have amazing chocolates as well.
They do. The handmade chocolates.
But enough of that waffle. What's off your needles?
Oh, okay.
How many things have you got?
I'll start with the first. Shall I talk about... Yes, because this is going to lead me into... I'm just going to lean, sorry. This is my new shawl pattern, which will be out now.
Yay!
I've had, I've had some lovely test knitters, actually. Thank you so much. And they've really sped through it for me. I didn't really put pressure... I hope I didn't put pressure on anybody. But I did kind of want to get the pattern out for this podcast. So I knit another version. I was talking last time about a 2-colour version. I had the whole dilemma about that yarn that I bought and it just didn't feel right. And that same day that we recorded that podcast, I went to my stash and I just thought, right, I'm just going to have a look through and see what I've got. And I actually found some and I just thought, just going to try it with this. It's a heavier weight yarn. It's Debbie Bliss Baby Cashmerino, which is classed as a sport weight. I'd say sport to DK, really. And I had the right colours that I sort of had in my head. And I thought, I'm just going to cast it on and see what it looks like. And actually, I think it came out really nice. It did knit up bigger because it's a bigger, a thicker yarn. I still used 4mm needles. But because it worked up larger, I skipped a repeat. So it's more of a shawlette. But I think that's, I like the fact that it gives people the option.
Yeah.
And I do think you could knit it really in anything from a fingering right through to, a worsted weight, because it's easy just to add in repeats or take them out. So this is the second one that I knit, the 2-colour one. Oh, it looks lovely. And I think it's got a kind of...
This is my favourite.
Yeah, and Bryony loves this one as well. She kept saying when it was laying on the floor blocking, she kept saying, oh, mummy, that one's lovely. And the colours do remind me of, sort of not Downton Abbey, but is it Edward? Maybe not Edwardian, Georgian sort of era. Just the colours I think are really nice. And I used the goldy sort of colour is amber, and the creamy is clotted cream. And I used it's in the pattern how much yardage I used with this yarn, but I think it was about 420-ish yards, something like that. And I just alternated. I cut the yarn each time because otherwise I think it's a bit unsightly if you have both yarns being carried up like that. And I didn't find it a bother just to weave them in. I didn't think it was a problem. And I do really love the way that it came out, and it's still a really, really good size. So there we go. And I think it came out lovely, this one. It's really nice.
Yes.
And the yarn's beautiful. It's a very reasonably priced yarn, you know. And definitely lovely and squishy for a shawl. So that's my finished object. The pattern will be out when the podcast goes out. And I thought, I don't generally do knit-alongs for my patterns. I think we did for the Bakery Bear, but I don't think I have subsequently. But then I thought, shall we do one? Shall we have a little, very informal knit-along for my new shawl? So I thought, let's start it. This comes out on Friday, which is what date is that? The 2nd? Is it the 2nd of October?
Yeah.
So I thought, should we start it on Monday?
The 5th.
The 5th. So we'll start it on Monday the 5th. I'll open a chatter thread for Friday when the podcast comes out. So everybody you can chatter in there about what yarns you're going to use, and ask me any questions if you need to. And then I'll do a finished object thread as well, and we'll just run it for October. So we'll end it on the 1st of November, say, so you've got right up until the end of October. And I do want it just to be very informal knit along. And even if you don't finish it, put in a photo. I don't mind if you don't finish it. Let's just all have fun, instead of worrying about getting it finished for a certain date. So if it's getting close to the end of October and you haven't finished it, just pop a picture in of your progress. And that will count as an entry in it'll say FO thread, but like I say, if you haven't finished it, don't worry, just put a picture in. And I'm just going to have one prize, like I said, because I just want to keep it very casual. And what I'm going to do when we're at Chatsworth at the end of October, I'm going to pick up a tea towel and I'll make a bag. Now I'm hoping I can find some of these, but if it won't be this tea towel, it'll be whatever they've got. That's the first one, if you just wanted to see it again. The golden one, which is the larger of the two. So if you have a look, actually, on the project page on Ravelry, there are some photos on there of the Test Knitters shawls, which all came out really beautiful. And that just brings me on to one of the Test Knitters was lovely Nicole C. Mendez, who I think we all know Nicole, don't we, for her lovely yarns. And she actually dyed up some yarn specially to knit in. And she decided that she might put, she's going to put some into her shop. And she wasn't sure on the name, so we kind of had a little chat, and I maybe suggested Cascades because that's what my pattern's based on, the Cascade water feature at Chatsworth. So I think that's what she's going to call the colourway. And I think she said they'll be in her shop in maybe about 3 weeks. So keep your eye out for that. And if you like the colourway, which is beautiful, I think she said to me she dyed it blue, but then over dyed it with greens and browns, because that just what made her think of what colours were around it, and it absolutely is, and it came out absolutely, it's really, really a beautiful colour. So yeah, pattern's out, knit along starting on Monday, and let's just have a bit of fun with it. It's definitely my favourite of the designs that I've done so far, so I hope you enjoy it. I really enjoyed designing it and knit it, and I've knit it twice in quick succession, and I love knitting it each time, so I really hope you like it. Dan Jones,
yes.
What's off your needles?
It's my Star Wars hat. And why is it my Star Wars hat? Because it's knit in Knit Natural Kessel Run.
Yay.
And Kessel Run is, of course, the run that the Millennium Falcon could do in 12 parsecs.
I knew all that.
Of course you
That's
did.
me.
So look at the stripes. I love the stripes. I think they look great. I think it just makes me think public school colours.
You're going to put it on?
Yeah, I will do in a minute. It's a bankhead, of course. If you give me wonderful handspun, my natural hat to knit is a bankhead.
There you go.
Perfect, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because we were worried about getting the length right. It looks right.
So that is my first what's off my needles.
Yes.
I don't have finished objects because that seems decidedly sort of, object. It's a garment. It's a
it is
wonderful.
garment, isn't it?
It's a what's off my needles.
It is.
What else is off your needles?
Well, the second thing is a really, really tiny thing, but it's very cute. When I was talking about the cat that I'm knitting, I said I'd knit some more of her animals previously, and actually something I knit just last week was this tiny little additional pattern that she just put out when she reached her 10th year of blogging and an anniversary. Just as a little thank you to everybody, she put out this little free pattern, which is an additional bit of clothing for any of the animals, and it's this little capelet. Look. Look how cute! How sweet is that? Little capelet, look. This is on the fox, as you can see. This one's a little fox. So this is, Bryony named her Frances, which is my middle name as well, so I think that's why she chose it. So that was one that I've knit. And her eye went a bit funny. The eyes are quite, fiddly. It's a French knot, but it's an anchored French knot. And she shows you exactly how to do it. But, knitted fabric is not an exact science, is it? It's a movable thing. And one eye was okay, and the other eye just kind of disappeared a little bit into her head. And I did do it a couple of times, I remember at the time, and in the end I just gave in and thought, oh, it's all right. You can still see a little eye, look. But it kind of disappeared into her head on that side a bit. So that was one that I did, and I love a little dress. It's so cute. So that capelet is, Bryony's been swapping it between the ones that she's got. This is a little fox, and this was the very first one that I knit. That was the first pattern that she put out. That's the original sort of little cotton rabbit, if you like. And I knitted the same colours as the pattern and everything, because I wanted it to be the same. It's very well loved, this. I mean, I knit this it's probably about going over 2.5 years ago. And it's Malabrigo worsted I used for the body, and then this is Rowan 4-ply wool cotton. And it's been dragged around everywhere, and she looks really well. And I think that is down to the fact, the tight gauge. I really do think that plays a big part. So there's that one, and then of course there's a little mouse that Mrs. Claus knit for Bryony last Christmas. So there's a little Snow White mouse. So that's the 3 that Bryony's got, and she's obviously going to have a boy coming into the mix. So there's going to be a boy. Look how cute they all are. They're super cute, aren't they? I mean, and this is why I carry on knitting them, because it produces such an amazing little thing. I just think they're fabulous.
What else is off my needles?
Oh gosh.
I have 2.
2?
2 projects. I mean, it's hardly a project, though, is it?
Oh, it is.
It's minute. I don't like that at all.
Well, it would look better than that if you'd have let me show. Look, it's come loose, darling. I can fix that.
To be fair, it could go at the back of your head and you'd never know.
Well, I know, but that's going to come undone.
Great.
If I don't fix it.
Right.
There you go. So, anyway.
I'm doing another anyway. I won't make such a mess up of the next one.
Well, it's not really a mess up, because like you say, there's always something that goes to the back of your head, so it doesn't matter, does it?
And this one, I messed up anyway, because as we discovered on the Patron podcast, I got the cast on wrong. So I changed it from a bankhead to a handbrake, but I've just cast on another one, which will be showing on the pop show, and that one is going to be a bankhead one.
It does fit. It needs a block. It does fit. I tried it on last night, so it just needs a wash and a bit of block, and I'll fix that.
Cool. So 2 from me and 2 from you, although the second one, I don't think we can really
get. Yeah, but this is quite a big thing.
Yeah. Well, there was 2
and I've knit this whole thing since the last podcast.
Amazing.
So I've knit it
and I only helped you a little bit. We need to find out what's off someone else's needles. And I picked this person because she admires your patience for putting up with me. It's a bit harsh.
I completely agree.
She's a daffodil and she'd like to know what plant you are.
What plant would I be?
I've got no idea, but go onto her Ravelry page and you'll find out all about it. There's a link that you click.
Really? And you can find out what plant you are?
Yes, I think so.
I need to do that. What an interesting question.
I wonder if she knows who she is. I hope she does.
I'm going to be thinking about what plant I would be now.
I can't imagine there's many people. Maybe there are. Maybe there's loads of daffodils out there that we're not aware of.
I love daffodils. It's such a happy flower, isn't it? A daffodil.
She's in Colorado.
Oh, we know loads of people in Colorado.
She's a right wiseacre. What? That's her name. Wiseacre, what's off your needles?
Wiseacre.
It's Nikki.
What a great name.
Nikki from Colorado.
I wonder what the history of that name is.
Well, you can let us know
wonder if-
what's off your
yeah.
needles. You can also tell us why you're called Wiseacre, because we'd love to know.
Were going back in history, were your family very wise and they had an acre of land?
Maybe so.
Maybe it is.
We shall find out in the Ravelry group when she goes and posts. Thanks so much for your message, Nikki, and please come and show what's off your needles. It's time to revisit an old section.
Oh.
Yes. It is a section that started in episode 10 and finished in episode 14. So we stopped doing it in episode 14. I think it's because it was just running up to Christmas. And
Yeah, it was, but also we were having issues, weren't we, with YouTube and
yes,
using copyrighted. Is that the right? Copyrighted?
copywritten.
Copywritten, thank you.
We made the mistake of singing along
Right.
to
We
was
won't
it Johnny
sing.
Mathis?
Yeah, we did,
Yeah.
didn't we?
We sang along to Johnny Mathis, and he wasn't very happy. He
Don't blame him for that.
yeah, he flagged our video, and we had a problem. So yeah, Kay, what's on your stereo?
I'm totally not going to sing even though I want to.
Yeah, you can't, otherwise we'll be in trouble.
I absolutely love and adore this song.
Why is that?
I don't know. Because I'd been watching Robin Hood and then I watched the Bryan Adams video with the, the famous song in Everything I Do. When this was just I didn't go searching for this. Do you know how sometimes when you go onto YouTube, it'll bring up suggestions for you? Everybody knows that. I'm not telling anybody yet. And it brought up some Bryan Adams videos because I'd watched one. And one of them, I saw the title of it and I was like, oh, I totally forgot about that song. And I just remembered it. I don't know, it must have been back in our history sometime. That song was...
Maybe.
I was listening to it a lot.
We have a Bryan Adams album called Bryan Adams Unplugged, and it's the only one that
right.
I'll really
Right.
really listen to. I mean, I like all his music, but I just really like the Unplugged stuff.
Right.
And that's what this is from. This is from the Bryan Adams Unplugged album. So it's all his stuff, but with a lot less sort of electric guitars, more acoustic guitars.
More acoustic, right. And it's called Heaven. And if you don't know this song, somebody has subsequently done a cover version of it over the past few years, and that's what I said to you the other day, and you couldn't remember who it was.
No.
I can hear a woman singing it, and I meant to Google it to see if I was right in my thinking. But obviously this is the original.
And best.
And best, yeah.
He's just releasing a new album.
Is he?
Yes. I had a quick listen, and it sounded pretty good. And he's a big photographer, isn't he?
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he was on the One Show in this country. He'd just done
that.
some book with all these photos in. Of,
Right.
I can't quite remember exactly what it was, but
I just love it. It's just, do you know when sometimes you're just drawn to songs, or this is just one of the ones that I'm really drawn to, and I just absolutely love it. So if you don't know it, go and look on YouTube and listen to it. It's just such a fantastic song.
yes. So
It's a love song.
the first song on our stereo this week is Heaven by Bryan Adams, and the version that we're enjoying is from the Bryan Adams Unplugged album. And I'll stick links and things in the show notes and stuff, and I could put a link to the video actually in the What's on Your Stereo thread.
I can do a link.
I'll do it.
You're absolutely winding me up. I have trouble attaching things onto emails, let alone doing links.
So, what's on my stereo? Why is this song particularly important to us, Kay?
Because
Tell the story.
Dan and I got married in a registry office in Harrogate, if anybody knows it. It's a beautiful registry office, actually, and the location of it's really nice. It's on a green and really pretty. But because, obviously, he's a musician, he's into music, there was a lot of the guests there also musicians. He decided to do like a little compilation wedding CD, didn't you?
We needed music for everything.
wanted-
She needed music to walk down the aisle to. She
Yeah.
needed music. We needed music when we signed the register, and we needed music to walk out to as well.
Yeah.
So it was a surprise. You didn't know.
I didn't know, no, and Dan decided it'd be completely hilarious for me to walk down the aisle. It wasn't really an aisle, the registry office, but you know what I mean. To The Lady is a Tramp. So that was nice.
You should have seen people's faces. It was just the business. It was so funny. But the reason why...
I think some people went, like this, and looked at me, and they thought, well, I was kind of giggling about it, and then thought, all right, Kay's cool with it, that's fine. Some people didn't even pick up on it. My family would have totally been oblivious to it.
I absolutely love swing music. I mean, I love it. It started out for me when I was very young. There used to be a TV program on in this country called Come Dancing. Not strictly Come Dancing.
No, the real original.
Come Dancing, the proper
Yeah.
one. And my mum used to think that I was saying that I wanted to watch it because I just wanted to stay up late. Well, that wasn't the case at all. I wanted to watch it because I wanted to listen to the band, because there were always big bands playing, and they were always playing classic swing tracks. So that's where my sort of love for swing music came from. But then as I grew older, I ended up going to a music college which was renowned for its big band and swing music.
All right.
So I ended up being immersed in an awful lot of swing. I'm not particularly into jazz. I can listen to it and appreciate it because, you know, technically it's very clever. You've got to be a musician, I think, to properly get it. But swing music, it just makes me want to dance and sing and all sorts. So this is it's Frank Sinatra, The Lady Is a Tramp, obviously. The album that I love,
Obviously,
the album that I love it off the most is it's one where he's with the Quincy Jones Orchestra and it's live. I'll put a link in the show notes. It's a classic album. It's done in the 60s. I think he just recently got married to Mia Farrow. And in the process of the concert, you hear his talking as well, and you really do feel like that. It's live at the Sands. That's what it is.
oh right, we
And
used to listen to that all the time.
It's such a good album. It's got so many great songs on. But The Lady Is a Tramp for me is one of his absolute classics. And Kay walked down the aisle to it.
How lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else is on Kay's stereo?
Well, just spoke about it, didn't I?
So what is it?
It's Bryan Adams again. I'm obviously having a Bryan Adams phase at the moment, aren't I? Don't you do this though? When you get into something, you kind of immerse yourself in it. It's like the Robin Hood thing. I hadn't watched Robin Hood for years and years and years. And previous to that, I'd watched it continuously. You know, it's one of those things. But we watched it again when we went away to Housesteads this year, and we took it with us because we thought, oh, Bryony's probably at the age now where she's okay to watch it. There's a couple of scenes in it that she doesn't like. You know, but she's almost 10 and we'll give it a go. Well, she just loved it. She absolutely loved it. There's just the end bit that she doesn't like where the witchy woman gets got. She doesn't watch that.
I love the bit in the film where Alan Rickman, the Sheriff of Nottingham, comes in and they've just raided and stolen all his money, and he comes in and he's got a knife.
Yeah.
He goes on the table, I stabs it on the
He's
table.
really
She
mad.
goes, something vexes thee. It's just brilliant.
The acting is fantastic. It's Geraldine McEwen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who plays. She's actually his mum, his birth mum.
But cool.
Alan Rickman and Geraldine McEwen, I think in particular, are really excellent. But all of the acting, I think, is brilliant.
All of the acting.
But it is a bit random that Kevin Costner is playing Robin Hood with an American accent. That's kind of weird.
I think Christian Slater is well cast as Will Scarlet,
Yeah.
but he should have done an English accent.
He should have.
I'm not certain he's capable of.
No.
And I also
maybe
think
not.
that Kevin Costner didn't do an English accent because he
He
probably
can't-
sounded
probably,
like
yeah.
a complete nutcase doing
Yeah,
an English
yeah.
accent. But all that said, that it doesn't take anything away from the enjoyment of the film at all.
No, not at all.
But they are so clever in that they surround themselves with exceptional actors. You know, Nick Brimble, who plays Little John, and some of the Merry
Brian
Men.
Tuck's brilliant.
Mike McShane, who does
Yeah.
a perfectly brilliant English accent.
He does.
Mike McShane, who now is super thin.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's lost all his weight.
Gosh.
And he looks pretty.
And Morgan Freeman
pretty
is
good.
fantastic.
Morgan Freeman and that was like his breakout
Right.
role, really, his first big
It's just
role.
a fantastic film, and a lot of people have been saying, you know, they've never watched it, and you know, why do you like it so much? But I just think it's one of those. For me, it's like an iconic film. It's a classic. I think it's a classic of my sort of era, if you like.
I remember going to the cinema and seeing it with I went with two girls actually.
Do you know, he says stuff like this all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, I went with a girlfriend.
No, they weren't girlfriends. Neither of them were
How old
girlfriends.
are you?
1991, so I was 15.
Going to the cinema with two girls.
Well, They were just friends.
All right.
It's the truth.
Tell me anything.
It's the truth.
Absolutely tell me anything.
It's the truth.
But the song we're listening to, anyways, everything I do it for you.
And that is, of course, where the video was filmed, which we spoke about last time,
before.
where we went at Christmas last year.
So, yeah.
What else is on my stereo? Well,
oh gosh,
I thought I would take you from the two ends of the spectrum with regards to big band swing type music. I was at college, at music college, and I used to play in this band with this really amazing bass player who was probably 20 years older than me. And he invited me around one night. I think he was giving me a lift home after we'd done a gig. And we went round, and I remember sitting in like his, it was like his study, and he got out this old LP. Did you know what?
One of those days.
I'm utterly sick of this today. It's like Clapham Junction. We're trying to do a podcast in here. So I go around to his house, and he gets out this old LP, and he sticks it on and starts playing it. And it was a eureka. It's like what you were on about eureka moments with knitting. It was a eureka moment for me. With it, probably actually, I would liken it to the first time I knit and got it. The feeling I had in my brain, which is one of like, it's like tingly feeling, like intense. And the piece of music is something that I'm sure none of you will know, and also I'm guessing a good proportion of you will probably not like. It's called The Chicken by a guy. It's written by a guy. I think it's written by Joey Zawinul, who was I forget the group he was in. Weather Report. He was like the main man in Weather Report. I don't particularly like Weather Report, to be honest. I'm sure loads of you will know who Weather Report are. But he wrote this piece of music, and the band that's performing it here, it gets performed by loads of sort of big band type orchestras, but the band that's performing it here is the Jaco Pastorius invitation only big band. Now, Jaco Pastorius was a huge popular bass player, just for me the best bass player in the world, and anything he plays I enjoy listening to. Because drums and bass work together so closely, when I was at college, I was being trained to listen to a bass player and what a bass player did. When you listen to him, it's like perfection. It really is. He's the Susan B. Anderson of the bass playing world.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh, he must be good.
He is. Well, unfortunately, he's no longer with us.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, he got beaten up at a gig. And he went back to his hotel and he thought he was okay. I think
He died.
he fell out of... He sat on his window ledge in his hotel and he fell out the window.
You're joking?
No.
He fell out of the window?
Yeah.
Was he drunk?
But he had a lot more injuries than he realised.
So he might have passed out or something.
Yeah. It's now.
That's tragic.
Well, a lot of this is word of mouth,
Isn't that
and that's
very...
funny because the orchestra's called the
Don't
Word
a
of
lot
Mouth
of like
Orchestra.
rock star musician-y people end up in situations like that?
Well,
No.
the drummer for who was it? The best drummer, Rosanna.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah.
You play that all the time.
He's shocking. I can't remember the name of the drummer. It's because he's got a camera on and the pressure's on, and I suddenly can't remember. But he was out spraying his roses.
Right.
And he's spraying his roses, everything's going great. And he goes in from the garden, says goodnight to his wife, goes to bed, and doesn't wake up.
What? Because
of the chemicals.
This is terrible.
And that
People, you need to be more careful.
that of course led to the famous drummer scenes in the film This Is Spinal Tap.
I don't watch that.
Well, that's a musician's film, but the drummer, well, he keeps passing away in tragic circumstances.
Right.
One of them
That's
explodes
terrible.
whilst they're on stage. It's
God.
terrible. But so The Chicken is the Word of Mouth Orchestra. It's Jaco Pastorius. It's my all-time favourite track of all time. But go and YouTube it because you'll find orchestras playing it. And if you can find the Jaco Pastorius Word of Mouth Orchestra playing it, you'll probably be listening to this exact recording that we've got. It's a classic track, and the album actually I really, really love. One of those really important moments in my musical life listening to this. So the very last person that we asked what's on your stereo was Cara Dawn.
Right.
Yes, and the person before that who we asked what was on your stereo was Ex-Lady Blue X.
Ex-Lady Blue X.
It was Maria.
We use your full title now.
And it's time for me to ask someone else what's on their stereo. I love this thread and I'm really excited to get it back going again because you guys have shown us some really cool new bands. Maria, for example, the first one that springs to mind from Maria is she introduced Kansas into my life,
Right.
who I really like. They're sort of like a soft rock type band.
I've heard of them, I think.
Well, we had a listen to some,
Right.
I think around about episode 13, episode 14. So who am I going to ask? Well, I want to get her name right, because her Ravelry name, I think I can remember it, but it's really important. She's a huge Star Wars fan. Boba Fett guards her cactus. Kay can never resist. She always has to look. She loves creating music with her boyfriend, which makes me want to know what's on your stereo. Do you know who I'm asking? You should know now if you're that person. It's Nitsy Fritzy.
What a great name.
Yes, she's a scientist.
Wow.
I know, it's so super cool.
How cool.
But we had a really good chat about music and how she creates music, and also I love the fact she's Star Wars fan, and she's also really excited about the new Star Wars Battlefront game.
Oh.
And I love the fact that there is a lady out there, and I'm sure there'll be many, many thousands of ladies out there, but a lady out there who's excited about the Battlefront game. That's so super cool. That's all to do with Star Wars, and I won't bore you anymore with that. But What's on Your Stereo is back. We've just been easing ourselves in with this first one, so hope you've enjoyed that. Please come over and share what's on your stereo. Definitely, if you're Nitsy Fritzy, come and tell us. But yeah, it'll be really cool to do this for the next few episodes as we run into the end of November, when What's on Your Christmas TV will be returning.
Gosh, can you believe we're almost back to that?
All that's to come, though.
It's not far away. I
It is
hope
not far
everybody's
away.
getting ready.
Yes.
Although I'm not knitting anything, as I've just said. Oh, what a lovely feeling that I can just...
It's time for the end bits.
Right, well that just reminds me of something.
What?
Did you hear my... Oh, I just remembered something. End bits, I've got a couple of things. The first thing is I was enabled completely by lovely Sarah Hepworth, who was one of my fantastic test knitters for my shawl. And when we were chatting...
I'm convinced she has a knitting machine, you know.
Oh, Sarah.
I think she just shoves the yarn and flicks it on.
Do you
It does it
think?
overnight, and then out comes these amazing...
I think she's some kind of magician. Maybe she's been to Hogwarts and she's got like superpowers. I think so. But we were chatting and she said to me that she just bought, or she just pre-ordered this particular, it's not a kit, but this particular thing that I'm going to tell you about. Well, when she told me, I was like, I'm all over that. I've got to go and get that. So I went and I pre-ordered it, and I think it said it comes out beginning of October, so that's next week. So I might even, hopefully I'll have it before the next podcast. And what, I'd never heard of this before, so I wonder if it's a new thing that they've started doing this year. But what it is, it's opal yarns. I've brought out an advent calendar. Some of you might have seen this already, but maybe not. I mean, I hadn't heard of it. And it comes in, it looks like, I've only seen the pictures that's on the website, but it looks like a cube. And it's got 24 little windows, and in each little window it's got a 15-gram mini skein of opal yarn, with each little mini skein has got a different festive ball band around it. I about combusted when I looked at it, when Sarah told me. And Sarah, like I said, Sarah had pre-ordered it. So I went straight on to it. Well, I thought about it. I was chatting to Amber recently and I told Amber about it and she went and pre-ordered it. But I got it from a UK website called knitted.com and they only ship to the UK. However, Amber did find it on Etsy. So if you Google it and search around, she found it in about a minute and bought it. So hopefully it's not too difficult for people to find if you want to buy it. And then, because what Sarah said and what I'm going to do as well, and Amber is doing the same thing, is that every day when you open your little calendar and you get your little, you know, your little mini skein out, you can knit a square into your blanket. I mean, how fun is it? Oh, you can tell I'm totally beside myself. And it's 15-gram mini skein, so there's enough to knit probably 3 or 4 squares even, maybe depending on the size, into your blankets. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm at the start of a new row, you know, right at the end of November, because I've got 25 on a row. Well, that's perfect, you know, I can have a whole row with all of my opals on it, you know, from the advent calendar. So I might sort of think about doing, again, a very casual, it might even be not a knit along, we might just even open a thread, you know, opal advent calendar chatter or something, just for anybody who wants to join in with us. I'll definitely do that. I will definitely open a thread just for a kind of chattery, what's everybody doing with theirs? And because the other thing I thought was, I think there would be just enough to knit a full pair of socks with, you know, so you could just knit your 15 grams every day and have a sock that was like all you know, it would obviously be effectively striped with all these different crazy sort of opal colours, and I think that would be so cool.
Yes.
So that's the first very exciting thing. I got a parcel this week from Eucalan. Very kindly, I got asked if we'd like to review some Eucalan, and they sent some for the podcast as well to give away. Now, I have used Eucalan before, but I've only ever been able to find, I think it's grapefruit I've used, and loved it. So I said, yeah, of course I would absolutely love to review it. So they very kindly sent me a gift pack for me, which has got eucalyptus, lavender, grapefruit, an unscented one, and jasmine. And then they sent a couple of little, like mini packs. If you can see, there's lots of little minis in there. One in a pretty purple bag and the other in a little pouch. And there's also a nail file and some little kind of wipes. The little wash pods, the 6 stain treating wipes, a mini sewing kit with scissors. Gosh, I didn't see that. That's super cool. And a little nail file. So I've got 2 of those. So what I thought I'd do is I'm going to add one into the shawl knit along prize. So there'll be a bag that I make and a little group of Eucalan. And then the other one I'm going to use in future for some other giveaway. So that's fantastic. And I did try the lavender one when I washed your, what did I wash recently? Your hat the other day or something. And I used the lavender and it's really lovely. It's not too strong a lavender scent. It's really, really yummy. The final thing is, do you know how I raved about the yarn that I used for my main shawl? And it's the Duchess of Devonshire. I don't know if I even said the name of it, but I think you all know. My main Duchess of Devonshire shawl, you all know I love this yarn, which is the Blacker Yarns Falkland Merino 4-ply. Well, when I was debating about the colours last time, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go on and order some more of that, but in different colours, which I did. And then after that, I then found the yarn in my stash and started knitting with that, because when you order from Blacker, they only ship, I think, twice a week. So I knew it was going to take a few days. So I thought, right, I might as well just give this a try and see what it looks like. So I ended up knitting it with that. So I went a bit sort of crazy, to be honest. I ordered 2 different lots, 2 different yarns to see which one I wanted to use, and the colours are just beautiful. They really, you know how colours don't really transfer sometimes very well, do they, onto a screen? And these colours are much prettier in reality than actually on the screen. So I've got 4 skeins of this one, which is sea foam, and all of the names are based on plants that you can find on the Falkland Islands. So I really love that as well. And this is such a pretty blue. That is true to colour. And that's sea foam, so I got 4 skeins of that, and there's 190 yards for 50 grams. It's a 4-ply, and then I also ordered this one. Oh, I just love this green. It's called Balsam Bog, which is not the most flattering of names, but that must be a plant on the Falkland Islands. Balsam Bog. And it's just the most beautiful green. That's not greens. Struggle, I think, to show up, don't they, on camera. It's a little deeper than that. If you like green, this is one of the prettiest greens I've ever seen. It's beautiful. So I got 4 of those, and then I thought, right, well, I'll get a couple of neutrals just in case I wanted to do the edging with a different colour. So I just got 2 balls of their white. Oh no, it's not. It's called, how cool is this? It's called Dusty Miller. What a fantastic colourway name. Dusty Miller. And then I got 2 skeins of the Sand colourway, which is like a really lovely, slightly tonal, like a beigey, beige. So I'd got all this yarn, obviously I now wasn't going to knit shawls with. So I went hunting to see whether there was actually a cardigan I could possibly knit with this, and I asked Sally, and Sally suggested a couple, and one of them I did look at for quite a long time. It was is it called the Blue Sands cardigan? Is that right, Sally? And it's lovely. It's kind of like big wide stripes. But when I looked at the gauge, it's for a DK weight, that I think. And I just couldn't make it work gauge wise, because this is a 4-ply, but really I think it knits up to a sport. So I just couldn't make that work. So I'm still looking around. And then I was watching Mina the other day, and Mina's just started a cardigan called the Marco Polo, which again is a striped cardigan. When she was talking about it, I was like, oh, I think this is a lighter weight yarn. So I was like listening really intently. And it's a sport stroke light DK. So I thought, right, okay. I went on, had a look at the yarn that was suggested in the pattern, and I actually know what that yarn is, and I had a little bit in my stash. The yarn that's suggested for the Marco Polo is Rowan Felted Tweed DK. Now I've used this before for the headband that I knit, and I remember thinking to myself, that's not a DK weight. It's much, much lighter than a DK weight. So I went and had a rummage and I found it. I then decided to knit a swatch. I just used some of the gold colour I had left over from my shawl. So I knit a swatch. Yes, I knit a swatch. I did a swatch. 4mm needles, like the pattern suggested. I haven't quite got gauge. The pattern asks for 21 stitches by 28 rows. I've got 22 stitches by 32 rows. I don't know whether that's going to work or not. Can anybody out there tell me if they think that that would be okay? The stitch count is only 1 stitch off per 4 inches. I think I could probably get away with that, couldn't I? Just don't know about the row gauge. If I went up a needle size, I think that would change it too much stitch wise, because I'm only 1 stitch out at the minute. And it looks so lovely with a 4mm needle. I love the fabric. But having this yarn that the pattern is originally knit with, I could compare the two. And it's much of a muchness. Mm. So the pale coloured one is what's knit within the pattern. The gold one is what I have. And just side by side, they look incredibly similar. In fact, the Rowan Felted Tweed has got absolutely no give in it at all. It really hasn't. There's no stretch. Whereas this one is a lovely, I don't know if you can see that, but it's a much bouncier yarn. I don't know what to do. I don't know whether that will work, that gauge. I don't know whether to just go for it, because the pattern does have a lot of ease in it as well. I think you knit it with 4 inches of positive ease. So even if I'm a bit out, because there's all that ease in it, I think I might be able to get away with it. My chest is 36. The pattern was for 34 or 37. But if I knit a 37, then that's effectively 41, isn't it? Which I think would just be too big. I don't really think I want that much ease. But if I knit a 34, that would come out at 38. So then that's only 2 inches of ease. So I think that would be okay. You can see I'm having a dilemma. Somebody help me, please. If there's anybody out there who's an expert on, garment knitting, just let me know if you think that my gauge will be okay. Because what I thought of doing, I think these colours together look so pretty. But I thought I might add in a 3rd colour stripe with, look at that. It's so nice, those colours together. So I really, really want to see if I can make this work. So I'd love your help on that one. Just comment in the episode thread if you've got any thoughts on whether that would work. And also, these are both 50 grams, so the pattern calls for this yarn, which is 191 yards per 50 grams. Mine is 190 yards per 50 grams. They're virtually identical, so surely it would work. So
all done?
Yes, I'm really sorry, that was a huge ramble.
Is there nothing else? Cool.
Look, I've nearly finished, talking about finishing it in 2 days. I'm nearly onto the heel flap.
Yay.
You little babe.
So the pattern for Kay's Duchess of Devonshire shawl is out now. The knit along starts on Monday the 5th.
Monday, I'll open a thread, yep.
We'll be back on Tuesday for patrons with the next tutorial. Thursday next week we'll be getting into the nitty gritty of the cardigan. And we'll be back the week after for episode 35.
35.
And in episode 35, we will be getting ready for Christmas with our Christmas chutney.
We will. So if you want to have a look at the recipe ahead of time, what I'm going to be making...
I'll stick a link up in the show
Oh,
notes.
Dan will put a link up. But if it's in the Delia Smith Christmas book. It's a Christmas chutney, and it is online as well.
Cool.
And it is the most fabulous chutney you will ever taste in your entire life.
And I know lots of people get antsy about, doing Christmas things too early. Just, you have to do this now, otherwise it won't taste right.
No, it has to mature.
So you're not being naughty doing Christmas things early.
No,
you're being nice.
Necessary. It's you've got to necessary. It's absolutely got to do it.
Yes, and you will enjoy the finished object.
You will. I mean, I sit and look at it for however many weeks, 6 weeks or whatever. I'm like, oh.
And the great thing
it?
is, you can eat it all year. So whilst it goes really well, it's not like
it's a preserve. So
it's summer now. It tastes of Christmas. It doesn't. It's just a really nice chutney.
It normally lasts us till sort of March or April. I think the amount that we make.
Yeah. And it's a fun old process making it, isn't it?
It takes some time. It's not difficult at all. But there's lots of chopping involved. So if you've got a food processor, that speeds it up immeasurably. First 2 times I made it, I didn't have any sort of device for chopping. So I just got a pair of scissors and I just chopped all my, dried fruits. It doesn't make any difference to the finished article. It just takes more time.
Cool. So thanks so much for watching. And we'll see you on Tuesday if you're a patron, or in 2 weeks if not. So see you then. Bye.